If you've been wondering why you're still single despite wanting love, it might not just be bad luck, it could be your habits. Let's talk about 10 behaviors that are silently keeping you single. Pay attention because you might be guilty of more than one. 1. Unrealistic standards. Let's be honest, having standards is a good thing. You should want a partner who respects you, supports you and shares similar values. But there's a fine line between healthy standards and impossible expectations. Some people set the bar so high that no real human being could ever reach it. You've probably heard someone say, "I'll only date if they're over 6 feet tall, make 6 figures, have a perfect body, never get angry, and treat me like royalty." Sounds nice, right? But here's the problem. People are not custom-built robots. Real love is messy, imperfect, and full of compromise. When your checklist becomes too specific or too long, you're not searching for love, you're searching for perfection, and perfection doesn't exist. The sad part is, when you have unrealistic standards, you don't even give good people a chance. You might dismiss someone, amazing, just because they didn't check one superficial box on your list. Now here's the hard question. If someone had the same standards for you that you have for others, would you qualify? Think about it. Do you meet the same level of perfection you're demanding from others? High standards are healthy, but impossible standards will keep you single. Instead of searching for the perfect partner, search for the right partner, someone who matches your values, supports your growth, and accepts your flaws, just as you accept theirs. 2. Fear of vulnerability. This is one of the most common but hidden reasons why people stay single. Deep down, many people are afraid to truly open up. Maybe you've been hurt before. Maybe you've been betrayed. Or maybe you just fear rejection. So what happens? You build walls. You act tough. You pretend you don't care. But here's the truth. Love cannot exist without vulnerability. If you want intimacy, you have to risk being seen, flaws, insecurities, emotions and all. Yet so many people play games instead. They hide their true feelings, send mixed signals, or act distant, thinking it makes them look strong. But in reality, it just makes them look unavailable. Think about it. How can someone truly connect with you if you never let them see the real you? How can they love your heart if all you show them is a mask? The fear of vulnerability often sounds like, "I don't want to look weak," or "If I open up, they'll hurt me." But avoiding vulnerability doesn't protect you. It isolates you. It might keep you safe from heartbreak, but it also keeps you safe from love. If you've been hiding behind walls, ask yourself this: am I protecting myself, or am I pushing away the very thing I want most? The truth is, real strength isn't in hiding your feelings. Real strength is in opening up, even when you're scared. Because without vulnerability, there can be no intimacy. And without intimacy, there can be no real relationship. 3. Living in the past. One of the biggest reasons people stay single is because they're still stuck in yesterday. Maybe you've been through heartbreak. Maybe your ex hurt you, betrayed you, or left scars that still haven't healed. And now, without realizing it, you carry that pain into every new connection. You meet someone new, but instead of seeing them for who they are, you compare them to the person who broke you. You think, what if they cheat like my ex? Or what if they leave me too? You might even sabotage good relationships because deep down, you're waiting for history to repeat itself. Here's the hard truth. You can't build a future while holding on to the past. A new person cannot compete with your memories. They cannot prove themselves if you keep punishing them for someone else's mistakes. Living in the past also shows up in little ways. Constantly talking about your ex, stalking their social media, or secretly hoping they'll come back. But all that energy you're giving to the past is energy you could be using to build something new. Ask yourself honestly, am I really ready for love? Or am I still dragging old baggage into new situations? Because here's the truth, until you let go of what hurt you, you'll never make space for what can heal you. The past is a lesson, not a life sentence. Learn from it, but don't live in it. Because if you keep looking backward, you'll miss the person standing right in front of you. 4. Poor communication. If there's one skill that can make or break a relationship, it's communication. And sadly, Poor communication is one of the biggest reasons people stay single. Some people shut down when something bothers them. Instead of speaking up, they go silent. Others do the opposite. They explode, lash out, or use sarcasm, leaving the other person confused and defensive. And then there are those who play games, dropping hints, expecting their partner to read their mind, or punishing them with passive-aggressive behavior. But here's the truth. Nobody is a mind reader. If you can't express your feelings, your needs, and your boundaries clearly and respectfully, no relationship will last. Love doesn't die because people stop caring. It dies because they stop communicating. Think about it. How many times have you held back what you really wanted to say, hoping your partner would just get it? How many times have you bottled up your frustration until it exploded? That's not healthy communication. It's a ticking time bomb. Poor communication also makes dating harder. If you're unclear about what you want, you'll attract people who are just as uncertain. If you're afraid to ask direct questions like, "What are you looking for?" you'll waste time with people who don't share your intentions. The truth is, clear communication is love's oxygen. Without it, even the strongest attraction will suffocate. So here's the challenge. The next time something bothers you, don't bury it, don't explode, and don't play games. Say what you feel. Speak to be understood, not to win. Because communication isn't about fighting, it's about connecting. And connection is what keeps love alive. 5. Chasing the wrong people. Let's be honest. You might not be single because there are no good people out there. You might be single because you keep chasing the wrong ones. Think about it. Are you constantly drawn to people who don't want you? Do you find yourself attracted to those who are emotionally unavailable, toxic, or only give you crumbs of attention? If so, it's no surprise you feel stuck. Here's the harsh truth. When you chase the wrong people, you teach yourself to settle for less. You invest your time, your emotions, and your energy into someone who was never willing to invest back. And every time you do, you reinforce the belief that love has to be hard, painful, or one-sided. Sometimes the problem isn't that love doesn't exist, it's that you're ignoring the people who actually want to love you. You're too busy chasing the unavailable, the inconsistent, or the unhealthy. And by the time you realize it, the right ones have already moved on. Ask yourself, why do I want someone who clearly doesn't want me? Why do I romanticize the chase instead of valuing mutual effort? Because the truth is, if someone truly values you, you won't have to beg for their time, their attention, or their love. Love shouldn't feel like running after a moving target. The right person will meet you halfway. The wrong person will keep you running in circles. And if you keep chasing the wrong ones, you'll stay single, not because love isn't out there, but because you're looking in the wrong direction. 6. Neglecting self-improvement. Everyone wants a high-value partner, someone attractive, confident, ambitious, and emotionally stable. But here's the question. Are you also working to become that kind of partner yourself? Too many people stay single because they focus only on what they want from others while neglecting their own growth. They demand loyalty, but are not loyal themselves. They want ambition, but aren't chasing their own goals. They expect fitness, but don't take care of their health. They want emotional maturity, but avoid doing the inner work. The truth is, like attracts like. If you want someone who is growing, improving, and leveling up, you need to be on that same path. Because healthy people are attracted to other healthy people. Ambitious people are drawn to ambitious people. And secure people want someone equally secure. Ask yourself honestly, am I becoming the type of person I want to attract? If the answer is no, then it's time to shift your focus inward. Work on your mind, your body, your career, and your character. Not to be perfect, but to be the best version of yourself. Remember this, self-improvement makes you magnetic. When you invest in your growth, you naturally raise your value. And when you raise your value, you attract better relationships. But if you neglect your growth and expect others to complete you, you'll keep chasing love instead of becoming someone worth loving. At the end of the day, the partner you want is out there. The question is, are you becoming the kind of person they would want too? 7. Over-prioritizing independence. Now don't get me wrong, independence is attractive. Nobody wants a clingy partner who can't stand on their own 2 feet. But just like anything in life, too much of it can backfire. And for some people, over-prioritizing independence is exactly what keeps them single. Here's what it looks like. You're so used to doing everything on your own that you reject help. Even when it's offered, you avoid leaning on anyone because you see it as weakness. You convince yourself you don't need anyone, and before long, you've built an identity around being untouchable. But here's the truth. Relationships aren't about weakness, they're about partnership. Independence is good, but relationships thrive on interdependence. That means you can stand alone if you have to, but you choose to share your life, your struggles and your joys with someone else. Ask yourself, do I push people away by trying to prove I don't need them? Do I confuse being strong with never letting anyone in? Because the reality is, when you refuse to let someone contribute to your life, they won't feel needed. And when someone doesn't feel needed, they eventually leave. The strongest relationships are not built on total independence or total dependence. They're built on balance. A space where two strong individuals choose to rely on each other, not out of weakness but out of love. So if your independence has become a wall instead of a strength, maybe it's time to let someone climb over it. Because independence is admirable, but connection is essential. 8. Carrying bitterness or negativity. This one is subtle but powerful. If you carry bitterness or negativity about love, relationships, or the opposite sex, it will show, even if you think you're hiding it. Maybe you've been hurt before, and now you say things like, all men are the same, or all women will just break your heart. Maybe you joke about love being a scam. Or maybe you don't even realize how much frustration and cynicism you carry around every time relationships are brought up. Here's the problem, that energy pushes people away. Healthy, loving partners don't want to be with someone who's already convinced that love is doomed to fail. Why? Because they know no matter what they do, they'll always be fighting against your doubts. Bitterness is like a filter. It makes you see everything in the worst possible light. A late text becomes proof they don't care. A small disagreement becomes just like my ex. Over time, that negativity doesn't just ruin relationships, it keeps them from ever starting. Ask yourself, do I truly believe love is still possible for me? Or have I let my pain harden into cynicism? Because if you expect disappointment, that's exactly what you'll attract. The truth is, bitterness is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you carry it, the more it confirms itself. But when you replace bitterness with hope, gratitude, and openness, you change your energy, and people will feel it. Yes, you've been hurt. Yes, love hasn't always been kind. But don't let past pain poison your future happiness. Because the right person won't see you as a game, a burden, or a problem. They'll see you as a blessing, but only if you believe blessings still exist. 9. Fear of commitment. Here's a tough one. Sometimes, the reason you're single isn't that people don't want you. It's that deep down, you're afraid of commitment. It shows up like this. You say you want a relationship, but the moment things get serious, you start pulling away. You avoid labels. You dodge conversations about the future. You keep one foot in the relationship and one foot out, just in case. And maybe you tell yourself it's freedom, or not wanting to settle, but often, it's fear of responsibility, fear of losing your independence, or fear of choosing the wrong person and getting hurt again. Here's the truth. Love requires commitment. It doesn't mean giving up your freedom. It means choosing to build something real with another person. Without commitment, relationships stay shallow. They never grow roots, and without roots, they don't last. Ask yourself, am I truly ready for a relationship, or do I only like the idea of one? Do I enjoy the romance, the fun, and the company, but panic when it comes to loyalty, sacrifice, and responsibility? Because the truth is, commitment isn't a trap, it's an investment. It's not the end of freedom, it's the beginning of partnership. And if you keep running every time things get real, you'll stay stuck in casual connections that never turn into love. At some point, you have to decide, do I want temporary flings, or do I want lasting love? If it's the second, then commitment isn't your enemy, it's your ticket. 10. not making space for love. Sometimes the reason you're still single has nothing to do with other people. It has to do with your lifestyle. The truth is, you may not be single because nobody wants you, but because you haven't made space for love in your life. Think about it. Your schedule is packed. Work, school, hobbies, friends, scrolling on your phone. Nights out, endless distractions. Your days are so full that there's barely any room for someone new. Even if the right person showed up, they'd feel like they were competing with everything else in your life. Relationships require time, energy, and emotional availability. You can't build a strong bond if you're always too busy, too distracted, or too exhausted to give someone your attention. Not making space for love also shows up emotionally. Maybe you're still guarded. Maybe you tell yourself, if it happens, it happens, but secretly you're not open to it at all. You expect love to just magically appear without actually making yourself available to meet new people or explore new experiences. Ask yourself, am I truly open to love, or am I just saying I am? Because if your actions don't match your words, you'll keep blocking the very thing you claim to want. Love doesn't grow in overcrowded soil. You have to clear space, emotionally and physically, to allow someone in. That might mean slowing down, being more intentional with your time, and actually prioritizing relationships. Because at the end of the day, love won't just squeeze itself into your life. You have to make room for it.